Now in today's video we're going to compare Louis Vuitton Imagination versus Afternoon Swim. The reason why I'm recording this video is because I've been asked a few times to compare these two fragrances and advise which one I think is right to buy. Also in the Louis Vuitton fragrance lineup, these two are the most summery and citrusy fragrances that you can buy, and I thought it would be really valuable to discuss the differences between these two, and together we'll work out which one is actually worth your money. Now the obvious thing to say about these two fragrances being Louis Vuitton fragrances is they are very expensive. I don't recommend you spending more than you should on fragrances, and just because you watch some videos like this, and there's plenty of others out there that are going to hype these fragrances up and tell you how good they are, there's no reason why you need to spend over your means to buy these, and certainly don't go into debt to buy fragrances. It's simply not worth it. But if you have to spare money to buy either of these two, they are fantastic, and we're going to get into that in this video. Now when we say something smells like citrus fruit, that could mean various different things, because it's not just a one-dimensional smell. There are lots of different citrus fruits and they all have a different smell. So for example, you've got lemons, you've got bergamots, you've got grapefruit, you've got orange, you've got mandarin. I mean, in the orange category there's probably 3 or 4 different citrus fruits in that category, and I'm sure I'm missing some as well. So these two fragrances are citrusy, but they both have their own character and their own unique smell. So we're going to start off by talking about Imagination. If you've watched any of my videos in the past 2 years, you'll know this has been a favourite of mine for a long time. I think I first tried it about 2 years ago, and I was amazed when I first tried it, and every time I smell it, I'm equally amazed. I think it's a fantastic fragrance. I think it's one of the best fragrances in my whole collection, and if I had to get rid of all of my fragrances and keep 5, this would be in the top 5 every single time. So Imagination is citrusy all the way through. You get that straight away. As soon as you spray it on, you're hit with sharp citrus fruits. It's very zesty. It's a bit dry. There's not much sweetness, but you get the zesty citrus straight away. And it's not just a citrus smell. It smells really realistic. Like if you cut up some lemons, some grapefruit and some orange, and you put them in a bowl and you smelt it, you'd get a similar smell to this. It smells that photorealistic, and there are not many fragrances I've tried that have that kind of realistic smell. I think that's really amazing. Now Imagination isn't just citrusy, it does have some other characteristics. So it has a slight spice in here and a slight kind of energetic spice from cinnamon and ginger, and then as it dries down you start to get a kind of green note. It's almost a green facet, and I think that's from the tea note that is in here, but it comes across quite green, but that really fits in with the fresh vibe that this fragrance gives you. So like I said, not much sweetness, zesty, citrusy with a hint of greenness from the black tea note that is in the base notes. Now, for a fresh fragrance, this lasts a surprisingly long time. It's not only the longevity that is impressive on me, it's also the fact that this really projects nicely. Now, I've had this experience with almost all of the Louis Vuitton fragrances that I've tried. They really kind of dance off your skin. They don't sit very close. They really push out, and they're quite energetic and they're quite effervescent in the way they perform. So not only does it last a long time, it will give you a really nice, solid, fresh projection as well. Now, the way I think of this is I've read a lot about of how Creed Aventus used to smell when it first came out in like 2010 and all the way up to like 2014, 2015. People were raving about how amazing Aventus smelled and how it was a game-changing fragrance and how it was just a fragrance you had to wear if you wanted to kind of get people to notice you. And it was a fragrance that just pulled in so many positive reactions from people. Now, I've never tried an older batch of Aventus. I've only tried the newer batches, so I've never had that experience. But with Imagination, I kind of got a sense of what that would be like, because I feel this is a fragrance that people just love to smell. They want to be around, and because of the fantastic projection and longevity, people can actually smell it. And I have received lots of compliments and attention when wearing this, and not only that, it's my girlfriend's favourite fragrance as well. I think Imagination is worth the hype that surrounds it. It's a fragrance that has been hyped up by lots of people. It gets it gets amazing ratings on review websites. It gets loads of positive attention on YouTube and other social media. But I think the hype is real because, you know, I've tried so many fragrances. I own a lot of fragrances, and there is not anything that really comes close to this. Now we're going to see if Afternoon Swim could be a good contender to stand up to Imagination. So now we're going to take a look at Afternoon Swim. Well, this is absolutely stunning as well. But it's different. It's still citrusy, of course. This is as citrusy as imagination. But like I said in the beginning of this video, citruses are not a one-dimensional smell, and there are different fruits that go into making up citrus fruits. So to me, this is much more on the orange side, and it's not as zesty as imagination is. So if you think of imagination as more like maybe lemons and grapefruit, and it's more zesty, it's got more kind of bitterness to it. This one is more on the orange side, the mandarin side. It's more juicy. Whereas imagination smells more like the zest you get from the fruit. This smells more like the juice you get from the orange or mandarin. Now, I find afternoon swim to be much more sweet, which is what you'd expect when you smell citrus zest versus orange juice, right? It's more juicy, it's more sweet, so you get much more sweetness in afternoon swim. I find afternoon swim to be slightly more one-dimensional than imagination. Imagination just has a bit more character to it because it has the spiciness as it dries down. It has the green notes. It has the black tea note as well. Whereas afternoon swim doesn't really change much from the opening to the dry down. It opens up very juicy, and maybe that just fades away and it becomes a bit more sweet on the dry down. But overall, it stays fairly linear, fairly similar all the way through. Whereas I think imagination just has slightly more character and depth to it. I feel afternoon swim does suit better the really high heat. So if you're going to go on holiday somewhere, like a summer vacation, it was going to be really hot and you wanted a nighttime fragrance to wear when it's still really hot outside. You don't want to wear anything that's going to be too cloying. I think afternoon swim works really well in that situation because it's just so vibrant, so energetic, and it is stunning in the high heat. And also, not to mention, as your skin heats up, afternoon swim really comes alive and it starts to dance. It starts to really act and elevate off your skin. So that is something to consider as well. And I think it's a fantastic hot weather fragrance. Whereas imagination is, of course, that as well. You can wear that in the summer. But imagination you can wear more as a signature scent to any situation. You can even wear it in the winter like I do. Overall, imagination has better performance on me, and I think when we look at fragrances that are these kind of prices, that really means a lot to me, and I think that is the one I would pick. So if I could only choose just one of these, I would choose imagination. I think you get more value for money, and I think you get a better fragrance that you can wear to more situations. Now, do you need both? Absolutely not. You don't need both of these. If you love the really realistic citruses and the quality you get from these Louis Vuitton fragrances and you can afford both, then buy both, absolutely. But you certainly don't need both because they can both be worn to similar situations. So I would certainly buy Imagination if I only had the choice. Let's just recap quickly. Imagination is more of your all year round, compliment getting, versatile fragrance that smells very zesty, energetic with a slight green note in the base. Afternoon Swim focuses more on the orange juiciness and is more suited to the high heat and for going on a summer holiday. Both of these fragrances are fantastic. I'm really glad I own both, but like I said, you certainly don't need both in your collection. Let me know, what do you think of these two fragrances? Is Imagination really worth the hype? And which one would you buy if you could only buy one? See you soon.